Welcome back to kitbashstudio. I'm some guy, and I made Toad. But it's Resident Evil. Now, how am I going to make the iconic liquor from Resident Evil and ruin it by inserting Toad for no good reason? Well, if you've seen the Mario video, you already know, by using the cheapest stuff around and just enough skill to make it decent. Or... here's what I'm going to be using for the build. Foil, wire, clay, and marshmallows.
Huh?
Starting with the candy, I'm using it to bribe the Mikus so they won't bother us during this video.
Who is it?
It's me, Snakes. I got the stuff.
Leave it on the doorstep and get the hell out of here.
Okay, I went overboard with the armature in the last video, so this time I kept it very simple. And I just made a noodle foil man.
Bruh.
Then I skinned it, I mean covered it with clay. Moving on, I added some structure to the head. And the only other interesting thing about it is I used paper clips for the teeth. I used this trick when I made Dolehide. Whoops, I said her name. I shouldn't have done that. I filled out the rest of the mouth detail with more metal, but before he's called a brace face, I covered up all of it with some more skin action.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
I started with a tinfoil base, as is the base for all brains, don't you know? Then I added some wormy dealies until I had what looked kinda like one half of a brain. You're probably wondering why he only has half of a brain. Well, it's because I remembered Toad. Should I have taken a moment to really think about what I'd just done? Moving on, I built out the body, starting with the arms. Liquor Toad might be an abomination, but that doesn't mean he can't work out and be happy for himself. I don't know why I gave him such a sick set of abs. I was just taking inspiration from the poster above my bed.
Here.
Come here, boy.
He was looking good, but I wanted him to be more muscly, so I added a bunch more clay, mostly on his arms. After some leg day, Liquor Toad's body was done and I moved on to his hands and feet. I made armatures for strength and detailed them as best I could. I attached the feet first, and yeah, they're not perfect, but if you were expecting Garden of Words level of quality, then you're watching the wrong thing. I quickly added his hands and his claws, and they're pretty booty, so let's just move on. Okay, I think it's done. It was looking really good, if good is the right word, but let's ruin it by reminding everyone about Toad. I'm aware of how the liquor anatomy works in the games, and how I did Toad isn't exactly correct, and it looks more goofier than anything else, but this video is goofy, so it works out, I think. If you've seen the Curse Mario video, or any other video on this channel, you're aware that I'm a below average painter, so let's keep it simple. We're going to start with Mod Podge. I applied a layer of Mod Podge before painting. I should have done this with the Mario build, because painting on bare clay isn't smart. After that, I started with a very dark red as a base coat, and once that dried, I dry brushed a light red over the body. Next, I used khaki on all the bony parts, like the shoulders, the spine, the ribs, and hands. Basically anything that's supposed to be bone action. I also painted the teeth with khaki, and if it didn't already look disturbing enough, I quickly added a red wash to said teeth. Let's swing quickly back to the head for some brain action. I used a light pink, and I was careful not to go too deep with it. I wanted to preserve the dark color in the crevices of the brain. While I was at it, I went ahead and painted Toad up, and you probably forgot Toad was here, but he's here. I painted his skin, his little shirt, and his shoe. You probably didn't realize he had a shoe, but he has a shoe. I finished the painting off by adding Toad's red spot, which is probably the most iconic part of Toad. I just use an acrylic marker because I'm bad at painting. I mixed up a black wash and I added it to his brain just to tone down the pink a little. I also used it on Toad as well, but I left his mushroom head alone. I wanted that to stand out as much as possible. Okay, the painting is done and it's pretty decent. I wanted to add some more detail on the tongue, so I used some UV resin to give Toad a nice wet tongue. And I really went overboard with it. That tongue is dripping with saliva, which is very accurate to a liquor. Before we call it quits, let's make a quick base, and I'm going to be using cherry wood. Now Liquor Toad doesn't sit on the base very well, so I took some air dry clay and placed it under his feet and hands, making an imprint in the clay. It looks ugly, but this will ensure a tight fit, and I'm going to be painting it black anyway, so it doesn't matter. After it dried, I gave it a black coat of paint, as I said. Then I glued Liquor Toad on, and this abomination was done. Roll those beauty shots. Or are they horror shots? Let me know in the comments. Well, I had some fun with this build, and it's also the last video of 2024 on this channel. And what a horrible video it was. In a good way, I mean that. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this stupid video, and if you didn't, I thank you for watching this far. Mikus, you have anything to say before we leave? Mini Miku, you have something to say?
Have you ever had a dream that you want him to do you so much you could do anything?
Okay, you did your best. On behalf of the Mikus and kitbashstudio, I thank you for watching. Be kind, rewind, and I'll see you next year. Later!